just one more point I want to make about Huckabee, and that is the thing that bothers me about him the most is that I don't think this is really real. I don't think that he's as legitimate as the media makes him out to be. You know, he's like a lot of these candidates. A lot of the things that he's saying now is basically just copying Ron Paul. And if you look back a month or so ago, he was exactly the same place in the poll that Paul was. And he goes before the Council on Foreign Relations and he gives a big speech to them. And he got a really good reaction out of them. And the next day, the media starts talking about how he's the man to beat. And there was absolutely no reason for them to say that. He was still the same place in the polls. He was still, a third-tier candidate, according to them. But after he gave the speech to the CFR, suddenly he was the front runner. And, I've seen him on the cover of magazines. I've seen him on TV everywhere I look. And, guess what? Suddenly he has more support. It's no coincidence, people. I mean, it's no coincidence that suddenly he is, rated higher in the polls. And yet he still can't raise any money. Go figure. So, I doubt the legitimacy of all this. I think that if you want to end the Iraq War, for instance, if you're against the Iraq War, which 70 to 75% or more of America is against this war, and they'll never vote for any Republican that advocates the war the way that Huckabee does. If you're against this war, you've got three choices: Paul, Gravel, and Kucinich. These are the only three men that aren't members of the CFR. And so they're the only ones that are going to change anything at all. I mean, anybody that's a member of the CFR is just a puppet. Let's get it straight. I mean, they're puppets, just like George Bush is a puppet, and they're going to act just like George Bush. They're going to do the exact same things that he's doing now. If you don't believe me, just vote one of those guys into office and see what happens. Of course, there's only two people that could possibly win this election. That's Ron Paul and Hillary Clinton. And you folks, you can say you heard it here first. If Ron Paul does not win this election, Hillary Clinton will win. And I stand by that. Just wait and see. It's going to happen. Because, look, George Bush Sr. is already talking about the cabinet position he's going to have in the Clinton administration, okay, people? I mean, George H.W. Bush is already planning on being the ambassador to the United Nations in the Hillary Clinton administration. And if you don't think it's going to happen, you just wait and see. Now, so this Fred Thompson character, he was a distraction from Ron Paul. They sent him in there when Ron Paul started, looking more conservative than everybody else, so he could be the new conservative. Okay, he didn't work. So, now they've propped up Huckabee, and they've made him to be the new conservative, and he's the new, Christian. And what they're doing is they're manipulating you based on your religion, just like George Bush has been manipulating you using religion for the past 6 or 7 years. It's no different. It makes no difference how many times he thumps his Bible. It doesn't affect his policy decisions at all. And his policy decisions aren't even his own. He's just another CFR puppet. And I'll say another thing about Huckabee versus Ron Paul. And hey, this is going to sound mean, but it's just the truth. Okay, Ron Paul is a constitutional authority. He knows a lot about the Constitution. He's also a very recognized authority on economics and monetary policy. And not only that, but he knows a great deal about, foreign affairs. And he knows a lot about the philosophical underpinnings of our Constitution, why it was created and what it means, not just what it says, but the ideas behind it. This guy is a major intellectual, okay? And he's recognized as a major intellectual by a lot of other, distinguished people in these fields of economics and constitutional law. I mean, he's an intellectual giant. And, a medical doctor. So obviously he has the brains, even if you don't believe he has the brains from his constitutional, his speeches on the Constitution or his many quotes or his books. I mean, he's a very prolific author. You've got the fact that he is a doctor. So obviously he's got a lot of intelligence. Now, compare him to Huckabee. Huckabee is a preacher. That's it. He's a preacher. Now, who do you want? And nothing wrong with him being a preacher, okay, but that's not a qualification to be president of the United States. That's a qualification to be a preacher. And now who do you want to get us out of this, monetary mess that we're in? Who do you want in charge of our economy? A preacher or an expert on monetary policy? It's your choice. You can vote for Huckabee and take the bait and get Hillary, okay, because that's all it's going to be. It's a bait and switch. They're going to distract you away from the one man who can beat Hillary Clinton with nonsense about religion that doesn't mean anything. Platitudes about how America is cool or we're all united, and But what are his what's his ideas about what we should do in the future? Has he ever mentioned anything like that? No, he hasn't. He's tried to sound like Ron Paul here and there, but other than that, he has nothing. So, I'm sorry to be, tearing down this guy, but I mean, for God's sake, he's got to be torn down. I mean, we're in the middle of a fascist shift here, people. We're in the middle of a transformation from a democracy to a dictatorship. And there's, very few people out there that want to stop it. And the one man who really wants to do the most about it is Ron Paul. Really just think about whether you want to be free. That's what this election is about. Do you want to be a free man or do you want to be a slave? If you want to be a slave, believe what they tell you. Do what they tell you. Accept what they say is possible. Accept what they say is moral. Accept their, religious message. And be a slave. That's your choice. If you don't want to be a slave, look at the truth. Forget about religion. Look at the Constitution and vote for the man that wants to save it. That's the choice. That's it. So anyway, vote for who you want. I don't hate anybody for who they vote for. I just, I think it's important. And I want to try to persuade people to vote for Ron Paul because I think, it's absolutely essential. But it's a democracy and, whoever you guys want to vote for, you vote for them. And I just hope things work out for the best. That's all. I'm out.